Greetings, welcome back to Black Bear News. Please remember to like the video and make sure that you are still subscribed. So, let's see how this goes. I'm going to venture out into just some commentary on this video. A few people responded in the comments about the Bill Gates, making toilets available to help fight disease, etc. One person in the comment section, I think maybe she was taking it. I don't know if it was a he or she. I'm sorry. One commenter took issue, I think was taking issue with my critique of Bill Gates wanting to give people toilets, saying that he was trying to give these toilets away to help fight disease. And I totally understand that. And I I replied as such. And, there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's a lot of people doing things for humanitarian reasons around the world that may or may not be beneficial in the long run. And I think a lot of people in places that are receiving that humanitarian aid, I think look rightly so skeptically at some of the help that they that they get. There's a bit of a problem with knee-jerk humanitarianism, and I consider, I'm on the side of humanitarianism just so I can give that caveat. I think that people should be helped, and I think that people should be given basic rights and access to basic fundamental things that they need to live. But our knee-jerk humanitarianism, our knee-jerk need to continue human life or human progress above all else is a contributor to climate change. And we have to, at some point, admit this or come to grips with this. Because humanitarianism is kind of in lockstep with human supremacy or speciesism. This is the crux of the overpopulation issue. We have to have people always, we have to help people always, but what is nature always trying to do? Restore balance. When we overshoot, when an animal overshoots the carrying capacity of its environment, what happens is those animals die off, and that's a really sad thing indeed. And that used to happen to human beings before a couple hundred years ago. Before, maybe you can go back 1,000 years, 2,000 years, before we had the ability to store food and grains. But even then, there would be widespread famine sometimes if, there were a couple of bad years, a couple of bad crops, and all of a sudden people are starving. But up until maybe the last 100 years when we've had industrial agriculture, able to produce enough food to, overcompensate for any kind of famine anywhere in the world, pretty much. That doesn't mean that there still isn't famine right now today. There's famine in Yemen, there's famine in Somalia, and it's all about delivering the extra food that people might need. Climate change is literally nature restoring balance. So we've overshot our we're overshooting our resources every single year. We use 1.7 Earths a year in resources. We've figured out how to keep the wolves at bay for the time being, but obviously that is not going to be a long-term situation, because when we heat the planet up enough to cause severe disruption in the climate, severe weather events or severe, droughts or severe storms or severe floods, then we get this disruption, which will bring about what? It's going to bring about hardship to human beings, and it's going to make it difficult for us to continue to feed ourselves and take care of ourselves. And, unfortunately, sadly, and tragically, many people are going to perish due to climate change. And many people are perishing already due to climate change. So if you are worried about the near future, it's already here. Our entire society and thought process is geared towards fighting nature and defying that natural balancing mechanism. That is generally what human supremacy is about, or speciesism is about. So in reality, we need to incorporate that mechanism into our society or our thinking, or else run the risk of running up against that natural law, which we're doing right now. Should we help people in need? Of course, but we should also know that there must be a limit to our own existence. Should we help animals in need? Should we help all animals in need? Most people would say yes, and yet we still kill, millions of animals a year to eat them. We don't help every animal in need. There are still, animals in shelters that are killed every year, every day. We don't necessarily put nature or other animals or their survival on par with ours, or above ours. Of course, we should also know that there must be a limit to our own existence, or the number of us in existence, or the number. We can either accept that and compassionately find ways to deal with it, or have a conversation about overpopulation or general humanitarianism, I guess. Where does it end? Where does humanitarianism become speciesism? It's a large, sticky issue, but if we're going to be honest about climate change, then we need to question and discuss these things in a real way. And it's a difficult situation, and it has to be addressed, because otherwise you're just, if you think that there's, limit, that our growth is limitless, that there's no limits to what humans can do or what humans can have or achieve or whatever, that's, nice and beautiful and optimistic, but it's actually just not, it's not true. It doesn't line up with the natural law of the earth or the universe, which is balance. There are forces greater than us, even though a lot of us like to think that we are the greater force. Yeah, and it's interesting. Forest Dweller also had a comment about the toilets, talking about how we're gonna send little bits of plastic out into the world in order to do something that has been basically known, has been done for centuries, right? The human poop and all kinds of manure has been used as fertilizer for centuries. There are ways to deal with the waste, and humans know how to do this. We know how to do this already. People are already pooping in buckets, or pooping and making their own fertilizer out of their own poop. And so this is already something that probably should be done on a greater level. And, education should be primary in trying to accomplish this. And again, we're talking about 8 billion people on the planet, or 7-something billion people on the planet dealing with their poop. How do we deal with it in a manageable way? It's not the greatest subject, but it's a real one. Possibly education around this could be better than sending out a bunch of plastic toilets out into the world with, chemicals. We don't know what the chemicals are that are going to turn this into fertilizer. And then to get into even like weirder, more slippery slope kind of conversation, we should also greatly reduce our ideas around our standard of living. We have begun to think that all the things we have are a human right. It's, for some reason, my computer shut off. Don't do that. Right? We have, the right to we have the right to water and food and shelter, and I believe that. And in a capitalist society, in the society we live in, not everybody gets those things, or not everybody gets those things cleanly. People don't get clean water or clean food, or enough water or enough food, or they don't have housing, they don't have access to medicine. All of those things I'm in favor of. But how much do we deserve? How much, when we talk about humans, there's a line that people don't really understand, in that there's a line that human rights cross into impinging on nature. Like, how many humans can we keep alive with all the, with 1.7 Earth's worth of resources, right? That's where, the obviousness of the fact that we're destroying the planet is pretty clear. The idea that we really have the right to anything. When humans first arrived on this planet, we were just another animal, and we had the right to figure out how to exist. We had the right to survive, and if we didn't survive, then we didn't survive. We had we just had to use the resources around us in order to survive, and that's what animals do every day, at least wild animals. The earth, life, promises us nothing but the opportunity to live from the resources provided, and even that is a cosmic luck of the draw. If you want to get philosophical about it, who said we deserve anything? What we call human rights are a human construct, and I support human rights until they become speciesism. Others die so that we can live, and when they're all dead, so are we. And that's the short-sightedness of speciesism. How is it we can't figure that one out? So this is just a conversation topic. I provided my thoughts. I'm not saying that any particular people or society or any nation or any race or any class of people are we could talk about class. We could talk about class. Are responsible for the destruction of the planet. But this is a global problem, and this is a species-wide problem. This is a human-wide problem. So, humans really have to get over themselves and have these really tough conversations. And we are going to have these tough conversations anyways, whether we like it or not, whether we decide that it's, a terrible thing that we're discussing this. Oh my God, how could you, we can retreat into cowardice and retreat into our own comfort, our illusion, our imaginary comfort for the time being. And then, get a really angry knock on the door from mom, demanding to be let in, and we're going to have a conversation right now. So, you can decide to have that conversation or have that conversation forced on you. That's all I really wanted to talk about in this video. A little bit of a rambling rant, but just what I was feeling this morning. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so at the links below. Until next time, peace.